Hello and welcome back. And we have completed the Fortinet initial installation, initial configuration, and now we are at the stage we can configure interfaces, and the eval license only allows you to configure 3. One of them I'm going to use it for the WAN interface where I connect the Fortinet gate, a FortiGate firewall to the internet, and one interface for the local LAN, and the third one would be for the DMZ. So we've completed that in previous videos, and now I'm going to go and access the web UI. And the web UI, you can actually enable the HTTPS, HTTP. HTTPS is not allowed with the EVA license, but the Fortinet gateway management, when you're connecting to the management and when you're connecting with other firewalls like the Fabric, all those services you can configure from the command line if you want to. But for now, we're going to connect to the GUI and access the username admin. Okay, this one shows what to migrate. We're not migrating anything, we do later. And the first default will be the dashboard, the window you see, but we are after the network. So here, the network, we can do loads of stuff, but the interfaces, we already configured one as a static interface, which is port 1. And that port 1, if you go all the way to the right, you see the services I'm allowing. This is a default one, but the services I am allowing is ping, HTTPS, SSH, HTTP is the one we're using now, but we can edit. But port 1 is the LAN, port 3 is the DMZ. So let's first work on this one and say edit. You select it and then go edit. Let's call it LAN. LAN interface, or LAN if you want to. It's a physical interface. We're not using any VRF, and the role, we're not defining any role. I'm just configuring now. Actually, we can do the LAN, that's fine. But then these are the defaults you can choose here. You want to use it as a management interface. We connected from the internet facing interface, which is port 0 with 192.168. I want to use the local interface for management if I want to. So then I can select that. But for now, let's just finish the configurations of the LAN. And the IP address, is it manual or is it DHCP? We want to keep it manual. And this is how we're going to configure that. So management interface. So I provided that IP and slash that subnet, and that's good. Then there will be, this is the one interface from that subnet, but we need to create an object like the whole LAN /24 because it's looking at the /24, and then it says, do you want to do that? Create the object matching the default, that's fine. Do you want to create secondary IP? We're not doing that. This interface, I want to access SSH, I want to be able to ping it, and I want to do the FortiGate fabric, security fabric if I want to connect to other firewalls. And not the LAN, actually we'll do that differently. And FortiGate, we can do that as well. That's when you're connecting to the management server. So those services are all right, but internally I have clients connecting, and those I want them to get IP address from this firewall. So I will enable DHCP server, and it says enabled address range. You start from 2. Let's start actually from a higher range up to, let's say, 100. And then let it finish maybe only 50 IP addresses, or maybe 10. Now because 115 is there, we will put 110 IP addresses. I've got a small lab, so that will be enough. And the subnet mask as it is, the default gateway, set that same as the IP address of the LAN, that's fine, which is going to be 10.1.1.115. That will be our default gateway. And DNS server, we can do also a DNS server. Let the DNS server be different, actually we can specify. So we can add DNS server. The first one I can say 192.168.1.254. that's my broadband router which is providing DNS services. I can add another one. It can be, there's another one I have which is 10.1.1.10 is a Windows server that I use for name services as well. This time I will leave the defaults. So that's the DHCP server. Clients connecting from the LAN will get an IP from between 100 to 110, so 10 IP addresses. The default, the settings for the DHCP will provide them the default gateway and the DNS. This will be provided from there as well. So we haven't changed the default gateway, so that should be all right. And the rest we can do traffic shaving if we want to do, if you have policies, but that's all good and nothing else. Okay, so let's save it. So if you see now port 1, that's the internet connectivity, and the LAN port is showing that. We can rename this one from port 1. So if we click and edit, and if we call it WAN, and the role, let's put it WAN. We don't want any DHCP from there, and we can actually disable those services, but I need to first connect from the other page before I disconnect myself. So that's all I want to change, just the name. So you see the WAN and the LAN, and here port 3 is my DMZ. So if I click on that and call it DMZ, and then we have is provide an IP address, and the IP address is manual, so provide 10.2.2.115, and the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.0, and we're not accessing web UI or anything, but let's allow ping and nothing else other than that. And we are also providing DHCP server if we want to, but the DMZ I need to configure IP address statically, so no DMZ there. Enabled, sorry, what is, yeah, that's fine. We can save now the configuration. So I have 3 interfaces, the WAN, the LAN, and DMZ. But can this firewall actually access the internet? Can we do that? Then we have a DNS information, and we can specify the DNS servers, the default ones, but also internally for those local LAN, I provided them the default gateway, the DNS from my broadband router. If you want to change those, you can do. Main thing I need to do is the default route. So the static route, we don't have any static route. So for this firewall to go off to the internet, we can try and say execute ping, and we can say 8.8.8.8, that's Google, and we're not getting there. And or even if we do, if we say Control C, and if we do execute ping, and if we say google.com, okay, that's also not there. The route's not there at all. So let's close that and configure a static route. We're saying the static route is gonna be, if you're going to any destination anywhere, that's the default route, like a default route. What IP we can use? We can use my broadband router, which is 192.168.1.254. That's what we need to do. And what interface is that gonna be? It's gonna be the WAN port. So select the WAN port, and we select the WAN port that is here, and the defaults we don't change. And then we can say default route to the internet. If we want to comment, add some comments, then we can just save. Now if you go back to the command line from here, and if you do the execute ping and then say 8.8.8.8, then we can reach Google. What about the DNS? If we say execute google.com, we can also do that. So we have a working internet connectivity. The LAN, if I connect a device from the LAN, I will also get the DHCP IP. But in another video, I'll show you how to do that and create the user traffic. So this is just the management of the firewall. So that's all this video, and see you in another video. Thank you.